This is part 2 of my abnormal pain review. All the parts are available in the description below.
I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die.
Episode 8 opens with Sally and her family, excluding her mom, arriving at their new home. Fern starts getting an attitude since she's been ripped away from her own mother and all, and her dad starts putting his foot down. He calls Fern's behavior weird antics and says she's not going to get away with it anymore. It's super dark, by the way, like, to the point you could barely see anything happening. They waltz into the new apartment with a loud-ass, dramatic suspense sound effect as they look around at their rundown home. The carpet's torn up, there's trash everywhere, there's no furniture because obviously they left it all behind in a rush. How quickly did Dad get a hold of this place anyhow? He just found an apartment and figured out all the details on the spot? Does he even have a job? Mom did say he didn't pay rent at the last place, so fat chance he can afford this one. In a realistic setting, the three would just stay at a hotel for the night. Well, in a realistic setting, none of this would even be happening in the first place, or would at least drag out and be a lot more complicated. And why is the apartment total shit? The carpet's destroyed, there's garbage all over the floor, apparently the roof is leaking, and there's cracks in the wall which shouldn't be happening. This is all severe property damage that should immediately be reported to the staff. I guess what I was going for is that they could only settle for a shitty place because Dad is broke, but an apartment is not supposed to have these issues. They get taken care of by the people who work there. The room should be clean and tidy with minimal damages for the new people planning to live in the unit. A lot of the issues in the series boil down to me being a stupid kid who didn't know how anything worked in the real world. I get it. I'll still go and make fun of it though. We then have an extremely unnecessary and disturbing joke that I make here. The girls are told they're gonna have to share a room, to which Fern responds,
I'm gonna go rape myself. Is there a bathroom in here?
Okay, listen. I know we're all flabbergasted at this 6-year-old making such an inappropriate threat. Here's the thing. I didn't know what it actually meant at all. I somehow, some way, got that term mixed up with a swirly. I don't understand nor remember how I came to this conclusion. All I knew is that people would get very offended by my constant use of this term, especially when it was used as a joke, and 12-year-old me proceeded to do it even more because I was edgy and thought I was winning by getting a reaction out of people. I had no idea what the word actually meant or why people were so offended by it because I thought it just meant giving someone a swirly. I don't know why, so don't ask me any further questions. I don't have the answers. We're moving on. On the topic of Fern, she gets lectured quite a bit here for her snarky attitude, and while she should be held accountable and taught right from wrong, the way Dad goes about it is a bit too aggressive in my opinion. Think about it from her perspective. She has been suddenly taken away from her mom, who she loved very much, to a shitty apartment with a family member she has no real connection with. Oh yeah, and she's 6 years old? She's not going to have a perfect attitude. The way Dad goes about scolding her feels like he's expecting her to know better, when of course she's not going to know any better. She's 6. She has been raised to behave this way by your wife, and you know that. While she should be held responsible for her own actions, you have to understand how she became this way in the first place to properly do so. And with how harsh she's being, I really don't see any of it getting through to her. Of course she's going to be stubborn. She genuinely thinks she's in the right and that her behavior is normal because that's how mommy raised her. It just comes off like Dad is expecting the 6-year-old to act like an adult. The girls are forced to share a single bed, which I don't understand how they even have one. I thought they were in a rush and left without any of the basic furniture. Obviously, Sally and Fern protest this, arguing over who gets the room. Dad puts his foot down and forcibly tucks them into bed, completely laying down the situation. Times are tough at the moment, but he will be using his money to get them better furniture and have the apartment cleaned up. He also says he will be using his money for good now that he's away from their mom, who supposedly took it for herself. So she financially abused him. But how exactly? She said herself that she paid rent for the place, which is essential. If Dad wasn't doing his part paying rent, she had every right to use his money to do so or kick him to the curb. So I guess I was wrong. Dad does have a job and a steady income, but for some reason didn't pay rent before. Cool. Eventually, he leaves the two alone in their bed, where they shift awkwardly and try to get comfortable in the cramped space. Fern ends up fat-shaming our protagonist, blaming her body for their inability to fit in one bed together. Sally breaks down into tears and runs into the bathroom to hide.
Dog, this lighting is awful. Man, this apartment is really bad quality.
Oh, you devious little bastard. You really thought you were doing something there, huh? Sure, blame the apartment for the shitty lighting and this bad quality video, asshole. Also, why does Sally randomly bring this up in the middle of a meltdown? Is that really a concern at this point? She runs up to the mirror and starts screaming at it, hating her body and overall self-loathing. She starts scolding herself for trying to be like them, whatever that's supposed to mean. When has fitting in and trying to be like others ever been significant for Sally? Even if she's self-conscious about her weight, there hasn't been any on-screen evidence she's trying to lose it to be like anyone else. She randomly pulls a blade out of nowhere and starts to cut herself. On rewatch, I remembered this scene was coming up, but I forgot that it was more than just self-harm. It was a full-on suicide attempt. This scene drags on for about a minute, with Sally groaning in pain from the cuts and continuing to scold herself while we can barely even see what's going on. Eventually, she gives up because the pain is too much, so she tosses the blade aside and seemingly passes out. Is there no blood? No evidence of what just happened here? Does she bleed out and die in there? Oh, no, never mind, she's just fine now. After arguably one of the darkest scenes in the whole show, literally, we suddenly shift to the next morning when Dad leaves for work. Sally decides to take some time to clean up the place as if Dad shouldn't have done that already. Fern walks in on this and they end up having kind of a sweet moment where they bond over how much the new place sucks. It's the first decent conversation they've had. Then they start discussing how they're supposed to get to school, where Sally announces that they now live hours and hours away? Why did they move so fucking far? I guess because Mom is dangerous and will come looking for them, but she's allowed to do that. They're her kids. This all needed to be settled in court ahead of time. How are they supposed to get to school now? Shouldn't they transfer since they moved too far to attend the same one? Even Fern points this out and she's fucking 6. How irresponsible is the dad that he didn't take any of this into account? Between ripping the kids away from home, especially when one was so attached to her mother, and driving them hours away to a new apartment in the middle of nowhere with no way to get to school and no proper furniture, he is far worse than the mom ever was. Make no mistake, she was abusive as well, but at least she gave them food on the table and a roof over their heads that didn't leak. Did they even eat breakfast here? This dad made such an irrational, impulsive decision that will change the course of his children's lives forever, and he should absolutely be charged with kidnapping. The craziest thing about all this is how he continues to be praised for his bravery and courage, and how he's giving his kids a chance to grow up away from their abusive mother, when he did it all in the clumsiest, most irresponsible way imaginable. Moving forward, as the sisters bond, Sally thanks Fern for not snapping at her like she normally does, and proceeds to say that being away from Mom is helping her. Dude, it's been 12 hours? Why the sudden change? The bonding that initially felt natural soon turns into a dramatic speech from Sally about how Fern doesn't need to be elegant and distinguished like her mom, and how she can finally be a good person. I would have liked this moment to come later on when, Fern's actually had time to develop so it doesn't all happen at once. Sally leaves her school, leaving the unattended 6-year-old at home alone. How the hell is she supposed to go to school? This never gets brought up again, so I guess we had to assume she just hung out at home all day. By herself, little ass girl. To fetch a ride to school, Sally resorts to calling Bridget and gets sent to voicemail. We get a long ass scene of her just leaving a message for Bridget asking if her mom can give her a ride despite the fact she lives several hours away. Seriously, this whole thing lasts 2.5 minutes. Of all the important details that should have more screen time, this really doesn't feel like one of them. Couldn't we have given this kind of time to, a divorce? A dramatic court session where dad tries to get custody of the kids? Or maybe even transferring the kids to new schools? Okay, I'm done. Apparently, Bridget's family lives a little closer to her area, so they're only 30 minutes from Sally's new home. But wait, doesn't that mean they live hours and hours from school as well? What is happening to the world? Honestly, the best course of action here would have been to stay home with Fern so at least she has some supervision until Dad can figure out what to do about their school situation.
My apartment is ratchet.
Oh my god, I actually used it correctly for once!
You didn't do it! You lied to me!
This episode is called Crazed Conflict. After getting a ride from Bridget's mom, Sally enters the school to see a commotion going on in the hallway. There's a crowd of people chanting "fight" out of sync with each other, and as Sally makes her way through the chaos, people around her are quick to point her out.
Are you Christian? Because if not, you are going to the underworld.
Oh, just say hell. There are a few more comments about her sexuality from the crowd, including that one goddamn cat. Even still, she hasn't actually said anything explicitly homophobic. All she does here is call Sally a lesbian, which seems like a pointless line. We been knew. It amazes me how this seemingly lesbian cat managed to never say anything explicitly homophobic about Sally. I'm telling you, she's one of them. As it turns out, at the center of the crowd, Stanley and Bridget have Mary pinned up against a locker, threatening to hurt her if she doesn't admit that the rumors she spread are false. It's a wonder why they haven't done this before, honestly, especially because it works like a charm here. Mary totally cowers in fear and comes clean, telling everyone that she lied about Sally and Bridget and that this whole lesbian thing was just a fable. Everyone gets upset that Mary lied to them, and that one tiger cat even blames Mary for fooling them into bullying this sweet little girl. You are the ones being homophobic. You're all terrible people. You were under the impression Sally was a lesbian and chose to be so horrible and cruel regardless of whether it was true or not. There's a bunch of voices overlapping each other here, and you know what that means? There's gonna be some stupid, quirky jokes in there.
Such a loser. I gotta poop!
Once everyone leaves and it's just our main characters, Mary, for some reason, blames Sally for being behind all this instead of getting mad at the very people who pinned her against the locker. The hell was that? She shoves Sally into a locker, causing her to fall to the ground and leaves crying. The three friends surround Sally, checking to see if she's okay, and for some odd reason I decided to fake her death here? For but a moment, she lies there seemingly unconscious and dramatic music plays with Bridget being pushed to tears, before she gets up saying, "Just kidding! It was just for sillies, guys, no worries." Except it didn't really work because what Mary did was not enough to kill her, let alone knock her unconscious, so you didn't really fool anyone? We get a weird moment of the characters pointing out the sun poking through the windows because I guess being self-aware of my shitty lighting was my way of playing it off, and then the scene shifts to lunch. The four of them discuss Sally's discovery of alcohol in the teacher's lounge. Remember that plot line? It's a very sudden tonal change from the previous upbeat, lighthearted scene where they celebrated Sally being alive. The topic shifts to the rumors apparently being spread about Mary at the moment. I guess people dislike her again because she lied about Sally, so in response the students are now lying about her? You people are hypocrites! According to Bridget, one of the rumors is that Mary eats bird poop for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What kind of stupid-ass rumor is that? You know what real high school rumors look like? I heard she kissed every guy on the football team. I heard she has contagious skin disease. I heard she's a wait a minute.
Whoever started up that one is my new senpai.
Kill yourself! The topic changes again to the talent show as Sally and Bridget loudly whisper about their talent show plans regarding singing that song for Stanley as if he's not right there. Yeah, remember that plot? I know, there's like 4 things going on in just the past few episodes. Jesus Christmas! We cut to Sally hanging out at Bridget's house where they're finally going to practice their act for the talent show. They have the song written up and now it's up to Sally to deliver the vocal performance. She's getting flustered and nervous, but Bridget encourages her like she always does because that's her role, and for some reason calls her kid and kiddo throughout the process. I don't know why, it feels kind of belittling.
That love has hit me in surprise. I want you in my life.
Honey, you better kiss that private jet goodbye. Also, Bridget celebrates by saying, and I quote, "Awesome, awesome, that was amazing, good." They celebrate with an embrace, which I thought was going to be a kiss for a split second, and Sally ends up going on some big speech about how much she appreciates Bridget's friendship. I feel like you could make some of these things work, like the shitty singing and dumb speech if they were treated as shitty and dumb. But it's made out as if this speech is so dramatic and such a big deal and the singing is genuinely excellent. Make them bad, make the characters cringy, maybe age them down and make some of the corny dialogue a little more believable. But when you tell me these guys are high schoolers, I don't believe you.
Here's the key.
This episode opens with Sally and Bridget officially launching their investigation on the alcohol case. Sally has the bright idea to install a camera in the teacher's lounge so they can catch the criminal in the act, which they honestly should have done before. I guess their whole quiz idea is just randomly thrown out the window here as it never gets brought up again. Good, cause that plan was complete dog shit. They head to the teacher's lounge and are met with a shocking sight. Someone came in and stole all the snacks. Or maybe they just got eaten, or they haven't set any out yet. I don't know, just seems like a random conflict thrown in for no reason, especially considering this never becomes relevant. Also, of course, there are conveniently no teachers or staff in the room at this time, and no one witnesses them entering the lounge either. Even if there are no security cameras in the room, there must at least be one outside the room to see who enters and leaves, right? Or maybe it's just an audio camera, who knows? Sally then discovers more alcohol behind the TV, this time some of it being green. She suspects it might be a sign. To which Bridget quickly debunks that nonsense, saying no, it's literally just different alcohol, dipshit. She didn't say it like that, but you know. Bridget then finds a random-ass key behind the TV with some truly stellar dialogue.
It's a key. A key? Yes, a key.
As they inspect it, they find a random code carved in it. Things are starting to get very mysterious and cryptic, which I'm not really a fan of. We already have the mystery of who's bringing the alcohol in the first place, and we have the talent show coming up, and we have Sally and Mary's rivalry, and we have her family issues. I don't even know what the series is about anymore. What are we supposed to be focusing on? There is no need to add more stakes to this already very tense situation. It's like I just wanted bad things to constantly happen one after the other, but there's just no focus or direction because of it. The story basically doesn't exist at this point, especially when a lot of these plot points are either solved easily or forgotten about or unfinished. As they continue to theorize and panic, an announcement comes on over the intercom.
The Smithsonian High School Talent Show 2016 has been rescheduled. The new date is October 20th.
Remember that detail earlier about the talent show taking place on September 30th? October 20th gives them almost an entire extra month, and yet for some reason they act like they have less time to prepare for the talent show. My intention here was to shorten the time they had to practice to create more conflict for our characters, as if it's even necessary. And yet it completely falters because October 20th is way later than the original date! All I had to do to avoid this mistake was check past episodes for the previously established date, which I'd clearly forgotten. And it doesn't even really do anything. Sally has already practiced plenty, hasn't she? It exists not only as a failed attempt to raise the stakes, but also allows Sally to once again panic about something, needing her precious Bridget to help calm her down and reassure her like always. Doesn't this get tiring? Doesn't Bridget deserve a break? What about her problems? Her stress? We hardly even know anything about her. Regardless, they move on pretty quickly and decide to use Bridget's phone as the camera to catch the teacher in the act, setting it up somewhere in the room before leaving. We get an extremely pointless scene of them in the hallway, with Bridget suggesting they go right back to the teacher's lounge to hang out and make sure no one discovers or steals her phone. I guess they're going to hide somewhere in the room and keep an eye out, but isn't that the whole point of the camera in the first place? Just make sure it's well hidden so no one will see it. Plus, won't the battery eventually run out? They go back to the teacher's lounge and plan to hide in the bathroom that's attached, but can they even see anything from in there? Can they see her phone and make sure no one steals it? What's their plan if someone does see it and take it? They can't go out there themselves, they're kids in the teacher's lounge where they don't belong and would immediately get busted for it. What if a teacher needs to take a nasty shit in the bathroom? This plan doesn't work in any way! I guess dumb kid logic is to blame for it, but it doesn't work because they're supposed to be high schoolers here. High schoolers are not this dumb or naive. It feels like they're middle schoolers, probably because I myself was in middle school while recording this. Bridget mentioned she told her parents about the alcohol they found, to which they apparently did nothing. Sally points this out, saying her parents, being adults, should definitely take initiative and take this issue to the school, solving it in a much easier and more responsible way. But according to Bridget, her parents are just conveniently kinda lazy and don't really pay attention to what she has to say. Huh, that's child neglect. We finally cut to the last minute of this episode where we see Mary practicing her dance routine. It doesn't really work because she's a toy and you can only do so many movements with it, so she just looks kinda silly the whole time. Plus, the music doesn't fit or sync with her dance, it's just random background music I threw in. She gets some supportive words from her mom, and then the episode's just kinda over. This entire episode is probably the worst one so far just because of the meandering nothing burger that it is. We watched Sally and Bridget bullshit around for 7 minutes, showing the audience how ridiculous this whole situation really is and how clumsily they're handling it, and then 1 minute of a toy hopping around.
No talent! No talent! No talent!
This episode opens with the fucking talent show? What? Wow, that date really was coming up fast. I guess Sally was right to worry. It feels like there was so much setup in the previous episodes, and it all sort of vanishes here as we focus entirely on the talent show. It feels like there's no real build-up, because the time we should have spent building up to this moment, we were spending on throwing in new plot lines, none of which connected. Regardless, let's move on to the talent show itself. First of all, the principal announces that the cash prize for first place is a private jet, but cash prize implies money. A private jet in and of itself is not money. Apparently, out of this whole high school, there are only 7 students performing, which seems small, especially considering all the hype surrounding it earlier. What can I say? I didn't have a lot of LPS. Sally and Bridget are talking backstage while they wait for her turn. Sally, as always, is nervous and needs a shoulder to cry on, worrying that she won't be that good, or she won't win, or Stanley won't say yes to her confession. Bridget counters that with, "He's too nice to refuse." Huh? So even if he doesn't like her back, he'll say yes just to be nice? Just to spare her feelings? Sounds like a lousy, dishonest doormat of a potential boyfriend to me. Just like her dad to her mom. Looks like the cycle's just gonna repeat. It's also just an odd mindset on Bridget's part. It implies that he'd be mean if he said no. What if he just doesn't have feelings for her? It's nothing personal. Nobody owes you anything. Plus, I feel like she should be reassuring Sally by letting her know it's okay if he doesn't return feelings. It's okay if they don't end up being a couple. Don't get her hopes up, stay grounded in reality, but let her know that reality is safe even if he says no and she doesn't have to panic as much as she is. Also, this clip.
It's tickling at the pit of my stomach and it just won't stop. If it's tickling, why aren't you laughing?
I think that's kinda cute. Sally tells Bridget that she should probably go back into the audience as she'll be disqualified if they see Bridget back there because she's not part of the performance. She doesn't belong back there. But I don't understand that. Bridget wrote the lyrics, she contributed to the act. She's not part of the performance itself, but she deserves credit and she's earned a spot backstage. Also, if Sally wins, who exactly is getting the private jet when they both played a part here? Does the school have enough of a budget to afford more private jets in cases where people participate as groups? Soon enough, Mary's act begins. She goes up on stage, takes a deep breath, and begins her routine. And falls about 15 seconds into the performance. I don't understand how this helped the plot whatsoever. If anything, it removes a lot of suspense because now we know for a fact she won't win. Matter of fact, it feels like Sally and Mary competing over the talent show was never played up as much as it could have been. What they had was mainly back and forth bullshit that meant nothing and achieved nothing. Mary's mom panics for her daughter and chases her backstage as she runs off crying to the point the principal has to forcibly remove her. You can't be that frenzied, right? Sure, you feel bad and you want to comfort your daughter as soon as possible, but she acts like she was in some kind of immediate danger.
We apologize for that, folks. No apology needed, I'm satisfied.
That's actually funny. Hey, remember that lesbian cat who originally ran into Sally and Mary way back when? Well, she's also participating in the talent show, and she has an interesting arc going for her here. She's got this whole thing where she's changed and matured and grown. No longer is she the clumsy girl who knocks into people with no regard to her surroundings. No longer does she lurk in gossip circles to find fellow lesbians. She is a woman with self-respect. A woman named Stayra Jones? What the fuck kind of name is Stayra? As she goes on stage to perform, there's some weirdly placed family drama in the middle where it's revealed that Sally's mom has come to the talent show. Oh, maybe she cares for her daughter after all. Or maybe she's just here to take back the kids, which would totally make sense since her husband did kidnap them. Fern is enthusiastic to see her, to which her dad warns her that she's dangerous, even though he's the one who dragged her hours from home without warning. They bicker for a little bit before dad just gives up and does nothing to keep her daughter safe from this supposed danger sitting right next to them. Danger is one hell of an overstatement, as mom doesn't even try to fight for her daughter back. She just accepts things as is, saying, "Great to see you, Fern," like they're at a casual family reunion. What is happening here? The focus randomly shifts back to Stayra's performance, and she goes on to sing "Scars to Your Beautiful." I thought that song was so deep and emotional, dude. And apparently the crowd did too. Even Fern seemed swayed by it. A generic-ass song shittily sung by a high schooler at a talent show convinces her to change more than her father or sister ever could. What a world. Stayra goes backstage telling Sally, "See, I changed." As if singing a song you didn't even write says anything about the quality of your character. She is so fake. Also, Bridget seems embarrassed by how the boys are hyping up Sally so much, but why? She has always been Sally's rock, encouraging her at her low points. Why is she embarrassed here? It's Sally's turn to perform, and she runs up on stage as her dad and even her sister cheer for her. She starts off with a speech announcing this is dedicated to someone very special in her life, and her whole family starts to wonder if it's one of them. Sorry guys, it's actually dedicated to a generic high school boy with no personality whatsoever. Sally goes on to stutter over her words as she delivers this speech pretty horribly.
My friend and I, Bridget and I, helped to write it. We wrote it, and I'm...
But legitimizing the...
She poorly sings her song with no instrumental, by the way, which is followed by applause. Waldo, jealous of the attention Sally's giving Stanley, goes lucky, and Bridget takes this as a chance to shoot her shot. And by that, of course, I mean she straight up giggles and kisses Waldo right on his lips, and just like that, they're a couple, I guess. Cool. Did these two ever even interact with each other? At the end of Sally's song, she calls Stanley up to the stage and asks to be his girlfriend, to which he says yes. Am I supposed to be happy for the couple with no chemistry whatsoever? Sally and Bridget had more romantic tension than these two ever did. Nothing ever even made Stanley special to Sally. There was no deeper connection. She just found him attractive. How many times do I have to say it? Attraction does not equate to love. There wasn't even any build up to this relationship, really. Sally was just excited to perform the song and get into a relationship with him, but that's the thing. She's eager for the idea of being with someone rather than actually caring for and loving that someone. It all feels so disingenuous. It doesn't feel earned. I hate forced romance! Stanley follows Sally backstage apparently, even though I thought only performers were allowed back there. Not 5 seconds later, all the contestants get called to the stage since all the performances are finished and it's time to announce the winner, so there was no point to Sally going backstage to begin with. How do they even judge who won, by the way? Are there judges somewhere in the crowd we don't know about? Does the principal just pick her favorite? Is it whoever got the loudest cheering? Regardless, Sally and Stanley are being annoying and cuddling right next to Mary, who feels a bit invaded as they're in her space. Sally actually apologizes about her performance going wrong and she actually feels bad for her, but Mary isn't having any of it, accusing her of using a fake apology. Then Stanley steps in as Sally's protective, burly alpha male and sticks up for her.
Hey, you! She's sorry! Thanks, babe.
This is one of the worst things I've ever witnessed. The principal goes on to announce that the winner of the talent show is Stayra Jones, the lesbian cat who sang Scars to Your Beautiful. I think it's kind of odd that there's only a prize and mention of first place with an absence of any other rankings. We only care about first place here? What about second and third? Are there any other prizes? Oh, Sally's crying, I guess. Why does she even care that she didn't win? Mary sure as hell didn't win, and you got the boy of your dreams, and you most certainly don't need a whole-ass private jet. She runs backstage with all her friends following her because I guess the principal doesn't try to stop Bridget and Waldo from going back there. Out of nowhere, it cuts to a blooper where my cat is walking through and interfering with the set, which, while it is the best part of the whole series, it should have at least had more of a transition in between.
Unlocking secret account in 5, 4, 3, 2.
We see Sally run into the bathroom yet again. This time the stalls are lockers instead of paint containers. Cool upgrade. She runs into one of the stalls and cries her eyes out and wait a minute, haven't we been here before? I'm kind of tired of all the whiny breakdowns we've gotten from Sally at this point, and no, I don't feel bad for calling it that because I don't feel bad for her in general. Let's see, we had the first episode where she broke down over Bridget not answering the phone, then we had her explode at Mary at the end of the first episode, then she had a meltdown at the beginning of episode 2 over how bad her day had gone, then she exploded at Mary again, then she ran into the bathroom to cry in episode 3 after Mary verbally attacked her, then she ran off to cry after getting food smushed in her face in episode 4, then she cried into the teacher's lounge after the lesbian rumor started in episode 6, then she cried at home after seeing her parents fight in episode 7, then she ran into the bathroom to cry in self-harm after Fern insulted her weight in episode 8, and now this. 3 out of the 11 episodes so far don't include Sally having a breakdown at some point. Hasn't this whole shtick gotten old by now? I get it if your character is really miserable and constantly breaking down and going through it, and I think there's a way you can make that work. But there's gotta be more to your character than just being miserable and being sad. That's not a character, that's a plot device. With all that out of the way, let's move on to the actual events of this episode. Sally thinks this entire talent show, everything she and Bridget worked for, was a total waste simply because she didn't win the jet. In the midst of her meltdown, she knocks over the bottle cap, or the toilet? Is that supposed to be a toilet? You're gonna have to pay for those damages, sweetie. For some reason, even though we saw the full gang run into the back to comfort Sally, only Bridget appears in the bathroom because, of course, she's Sally's rock and apparently the only one who can comfort her. She tells Sally that it's not all about winning because apparently she needs to be told that at age 15, and then I guess she tries to distract Sally by randomly bringing up the alcohol being snuck into the school and how they still need to solve that mystery. Hey audience, just in case you think I forgot about that plot point, don't worry, I didn't. Bridget asks if Sally only did this talent show to become popular, to which she says she doesn't know, like she doesn't even know why she's upset. She starts asking why they even bothered with this talent show, what they were trying to accomplish. Your boyfriend that you just got from singing a shitty little song is somewhere outside, and that shitty little song may have just earned your sister's respect. Is that not enough for this ungrateful little brat? Apparently it's not, as she goes on to cry that she did this for the prize, for the money, for the private jet. Wow. That feels very dishonest and disingenuous. I hope your little boyfriend runs for the hills as well as your other friends. Somehow, after hearing this information, Bridget sticks around and tries to get through to Sally as if it's worth her time. Sally's clearly not thinking rationally and is in a very messy state, but why? That's the thing. There's no good reason for her to break down over not getting a private jet. Who gives a shit about a jet that you have no use for whatsoever? As Sally continues to ramble, she finally starts to get to the bottom of why she's upset. Like, articulating her thoughts into words is helping her find her footing. Which I actually sort of like. It just doesn't feel like it works here because she comes off as a spoiled brat at first. She says she just wanted to win something for once, to feel on top for once, because she's never had that. She's never felt victory and has been discriminated against her whole life. I'm not sure discrimination is the word you're looking for here, unless you're referring to the lesbian rumor, even though you're not a lesbian to begin with. She goes on an irrelevant ramble about her family neglecting her, and that apparently connects to this because winning this talent show would have given her the validation and attention she wanted so desperately from them. Your dad and sister both loved your performance. I don't understand how that's not enough for you. She continues to be irrational, and Bridget says Sally clearly needs her help, and she responds with,
I don't need anything from you. I just want to be loved.
You mean loved by, I don't know, your boyfriend, your family, your friend who's right here trying to support you? Honestly, Bridget should just walk away right now because clearly she's not getting through to Sally. You may want to help her, but once she starts going after you and you're feeling threatened by the situation, it's time to bounce. Some people don't want help, they just want attention because that's what they perceive to be helpful. Sally randomly blurts out that she wanted Mary to leave them alone, like all her problems are just boiling over the surface during this breakdown. Mind you, Mary hasn't done anything to them for 3 episodes now. Bridget thinks she's finally gotten to the bottom of why Sally's even upset. Apparently, by their logic, if Sally had won, Mary would have gained respect for her and left her alone, and that was the ultimate goal. Well, that sounds like complete and utter horseshit. First of all, it's been proven time and time again that Mary watching her succeed only provokes her behavior further. Second, why did we need this whole song and dance of a mental breakdown where Sally basically disregards all the supportive people around her and whines about not having a private jet if the root of the issue was Mary? Well, none of that even matters because supposedly there was a mistake made. The winners got mixed up somehow and Stara isn't the true victor. Can you take a wild guess who the real winner is? Sally and Bridget return to the stage where our main character is announced as the winner of the talent show, making the previous scene completely and utterly worthless. All it did was make Sally less likable somehow, making this victory feel even less earned. We just watched her bitch and moan about not winning for 4 minutes only for her to win because convenient plot. How does that feel rewarding in any way whatsoever? Stanley and Waldo are magically in the audience again, even though they were looking for Sally before, and Stanley gets called up to the stage to celebrate his girlfriend's victory. Interesting how he's allowed on stage, backstage, and everything in between, but Bridget, who actually contributed to Sally's act, isn't allowed anything of the sort. She gets the absolute worst of it in this series, honestly. She has to constantly be the therapist friend, and even in situations where she is a victim, it gets completely overshadowed by Sally's suffering. She gets hardly any credit for writing Sally's song, which, by the way, makes it feel even less genuine since it's supposed to be a song for Stanley directly from Sally's heart, and how she feels about him. Bridget is constantly in the shadows despite doing everything to lift her friend's spirits, sticking with her through thick and thin, even when it brings her down too. She's never an individual, just the shoulder for Sally to cry on. So Sally wins the private jet, which never gets brought up or used, by the way. I told you had no use for one. As predicted, this angers Mary even more, and we get a scene that proves Sally and Bridget's previous logic wrong. Sally winning the private jet did not earn an ounce of respect from her enemy, which Mary makes clear by tripping her. The principal witnesses this and sends Mary to her office with a ton of sass, my god, and as she's leaving, she gets tripped by Bridget, just a little taste of her own medicine. She gets into a physical fight with Bridget, to which the principal tells her again to go to her office, and Mary just stops fighting Bridget. Well, that was easy. Sally and Stanley are told to take Bridget to the nurse, and she gets no consequences for fighting Mary back, which seems pretty unrealistic. Matter of fact, this all plays out like a Wattpad story. Sally gets the guy, wins the prize, her enemy gets in trouble, and everyone's on her side. This is where we go from her being the main character to her being the main character. The audience casually watches this all unfold, by the way. Apparently this is all taking place during the school day because the principal tells the students to all report back to their classes. I feel like a talent show is more of a late after school event or even a weekend event, not during the school day. Anyway, it kicks into a montage of Sally and Stanley being a couple and doing couple things like going on a date and swinging on a giant ass whatever the hell this is supposed to be. At the end of this montage, we get a shot where Mary can see the couple from outside her window and starts crying. Damn, they're really having a blast right outside her house? Like, in her front yard? That's just cruel. How do they know where she lives? Was this intentional? Is Mary supposed to be jealous of them or something? She's never shown signs before that she craves romance. It cuts to Mary behind some strange wall at night, a place we've never seen before. Are you ready? It's, you guessed it, another new plot point. Jumping Jesus. A strange figure we've never met before by the name of Ruby, no, not Rudy, hands Mary a password of some sort in exchange for money. Mary hands her $100. You just have Ben Franklin lying around the house? How is she getting that money? Does her mom know about this? She will when she notices a Franklin's missing. Regardless, Mary takes the password and sneaks into the school, I suppose? How? According to Ruby, the only person inside is the janitor. Poor guy's overworked to hell and back. All Mary has to do is get past the janitor and she's golden, apparently. Except the doors should also be locked and there should be a security system in place and there should be cameras that'll catch her, but whatever, plot convenience. It cuts to her just waltzing into the empty principal's office, removing any suspense the previous scene just built up, and logging into the computer using the password she's just received to mess with important data. Mary begins to look into all of Sally's personal information, like her grades and permanent record. There's apparently also security camera footage of her saved, which doesn't seem like it should happen. Footage should only be dug up if it needs to be used for something, right? Something like evidence? Like evidence of Mary breaking into the school and using the principal's computer to access confidential information? Unless those are just audio cameras, my bad guys. Speaking of cameras, while Mary's snooping around the footage of Sally, she laughs at some footage of Sally using the restroom? There should not be cameras in the bathrooms, let alone the stalls, so we can see people doing their business. This school needs to be investigated. Mary should report this shit to the cops on the spot. While she does get legal authorities involved, it's not regarding the very immoral footage she just found of Sally. No. Mary has a special plan in mind. She begins to mess with Sally's data, giving her false lunch and library fines to make it seem like she owes the school hundreds of dollars. Surely they have ways of actually tracking down that info to confirm it's true, right? You can't just type into a random document saying she has fines and leave it at that. That simply won't fly in a courtroom. But Mary, confident that it would, calls the judge of the Paw County School District? A whole ass courtroom judge, easily accessible by phone call. And apparently he's only a judge for the school district specifically? How many crimes are being committed on campus to make that necessary? I mean, based on the footage this school apparently has saved, it's not that much of a shock. Mary calls this judge impersonating the principal, reporting Sally for all of her fines. I don't think that's how that works. First and foremost, you get the parents involved way before you even think to contact legal authorities, let alone a goddamned judge. You don't even report crimes to a judge, you just call the cops. She hangs up after reporting Sally's fake fines and the episode comes to a close. Boy howdy, many crimes sure were committed this time around. This is when things start to feel a lot more serious than before. And that concludes the second part of my Abnormal Pain review. To finish this up, the final part is available in the description below. See you in the next one.